The topic we had was a general topic, so I'll be specific. The topic was Amshachas Alev, but within that, I'll focus mainly in the first part, we'll see where we'll go, on what's the role of the mind and the heart. In other words, many times people were masupik, and they said they don't have a feeling, and the Rebbe gave an eitzah of how a person can find within themselves whether or not they're attached to something, although they feel they're not attached to something or someone. The truth of the matter is, it's tied into the general topic of Moyach Shalat Alev. In other words, the influence of the mind and the heart. There's a heart, and then the mind can sometimes fool or dull the heart in a way that you don't feel the heart to the extent that you even think that it's not there. So it ties in. We'll see how it ties in. So it plays in two ways. It could play in a way that I don't feel the heart, and the heart is really there, and it could play in the way that I shouldn't be feeling a certain feeling, and we ask the mind to interfere and say, hey, hold on, don't feel that feeling. The mind has the ability to feel. I say, I'm out of control, I can't. So we say, moyach shalat. Or I can say, I don't have anything. So we say, no, that's because you're controlling it. So it goes both ways. And that's how it's going to tie into each other. So let's start with a few letters and see how it plays in Shidduchim in the sense of not seeing the feeling, and then we'll see it in the other areas where a person has a feeling and we're asking them to control, so we get a better understanding of what this control really is. What does the mind really do to the heart? Control is it's a tough word. It's like someone's controlling me. What is this control of the mind? What does it really do to the heart? So the typical question that people quote is the first letter over here, letter 1, where a person asks the Rebbe that they were proposed. They were proposed a certain proposal, and even though they met a few times, he doesn't have any feelings. Says the Rebbe a rule. Here's like a general rule in the sense of a person who's invested somewhere and they're trying to figure out if they have a feeling, if they have a regesh. So first of all, just for starters, yes, you need a regesh chiyuvi. You need to have some kind of regesh. So the eitzah is in two ways. Ha'etza lebir bezeh, the Rebbe is giving a practical eitzah, either lihipagish oid or lahasik, which means to say the lev can either come through meeting more times, or the opposite, or letting go. What's going to be the? So the Rebbe in this letter doesn't explain. He says totally b'muhus ha'ishim. Depends on the personality. The next 3 letters will help us see what is this muhus ha'ishim that the Rebbe is referring to. Because you'll see in some letters he's going to encourage continuing, and some letters he's going to encourage to stop. So these 4 letters, after we finish them, we're going to get an idea of what moyach does to lev, and how we can break through, either through continuing, engaging in whatever we're engaging to allow the feeling to come out, or we're going to say, no, stop. What is really this muhus ha'ishim? So let's see letter 2.
Sorry, what topic are we doing?
So the topic is, in Shidduchim, there's many times where a person is masupik. They are in a quandary, in doubt. Is there regesh or not? I met someone, but I can't really figure out. Now this question, is there regesh, could be phrased in many ways. A person can say, I don't yet feel a regesh chiyuvi, a positive feeling. A person can say, I don't feel anything. Both of these statements are doubt, because they didn't say, I feel negative. When you say, I feel negative, that's a regesh shlili. That's an answer to your doubt. But when you say, I don't yet feel anything, or I don't yet feel positive, which means maybe you're swaying, you still don't have a decisive answer. So people asked the Rebbe that question, and they wanted advice. How do I somehow get to know myself, right? And this could be not only in Shidduchim, this can be in many other areas as well. We could extrapolate this concept in many areas that happens to be here in the area of Shidduchim, but we can see later that it applies in other areas of life
Is
as
this
well.
referring to like after one date and you're not sure?
Not necessarily
like
one
after
date.
serious dating.
No, the first letter was Ezapam, a few dates.
Okay.
Yeah, a few dates. No, after one date, obviously you're not going to feel. I mean, whatever. But yeah.
Sometimes you go out once and you say, no, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you go out once and you say, I think it could, there's potential here.
Or potential.
Okay.
People say like
Right.
if nothing terrible happened, and there's no reason not to go. People have that attitude. Like even if you're not like enthralled, if there's nothing bad, like why not go again?
Right.
You know.
So again, the person is not saying they feel a regesh shalili. They're not saying, done, I feel like it's bad. They're continuing, but they're like, I don't yet feel a positive regesh to the person. So you need, and the Rebbe is clearly, obviously, you need to have a positive. So the question is, how does a person figure what's going on? Why isn't there a regesh? How does lev work? We're not discussing here what the regesh is. We're discussing how do we allow regesh, whatever regesh it may be, to come out. Really, it's a discussion of the interference of the mind in the heart, which we'll soon see. That's the core of this discussion. So let's see the second letter, and then we'll discuss the second letter, and we'll get to hopefully some kind of understanding. Here's another letter, and the Mayin al Michtava. So the Rebbe writes, no, it was a pleasure for me to write, to read that you write that you got to know someone. Many milas in this individual that you got to know, and actually those milas are parallel to what you seek to find in someone that you want to marry, and you also hope that maybe this person has more milas that you still have not seen. So pay attention to the kind of introduction this individual, it's a girl writing into the Rebbe, is writing. She's obviously saying, there's something good in him that I see, but she also continues and she says, I don't have yet a regesh chiyuvi. No, so you're right. The Rebbe writes, the fact that you write that a person has to have a regesh chiyuvi, yes, that's true. It cannot just be a cheshbon al pi seichel. It can't just be good things in the person, but it has to be a regesh, a feeling. Umuvunu, this is understood because you're building a binyan, and it has to be a building is building a person, and a person is not just seichel, a person is midas, a person is regesh. But on the other hand, not always is it easy. Here's an interesting line that he writes here, which is pertinent to our discussion. Not always is it easy to determine where is the end of mind and where is the beginning of heart. Many times, although it seems like it's only mind, really there's a big part of it, and maybe even a machriya part, a determining part, a major part, which is really regesh, really heart. But you didn't yet come in touch with that feeling. So how can the individual, says the Rebbe, v'tikvasi, I hope that after you'll meet more and more times, you will see that for yourself, whether or not it's regesh or seichel. So what's the Rebbe here giving advice? To continue meeting. What kind of case is this? It's a case where the person was going out, they saw milas, they were not frustrated, they didn't show major frustration. We'll soon see other cases where a person was frozen, person was crying, person was, I just can't see anything. Crying is a consequence of a huge frustration. Here the person didn't have any major here the person just didn't yet get to know more, and hopefully that feeling will develop on its own. So here we see, and we'll compare that to the next two letters, because this is a letter of continuing to feel. This girl did not write to the Rebbe major frustration in her first paragraph. She actually wrote a paragraph that leans to a positive side. It leans to wanting to find something. You're wanting, okay, hold your horses. The more you get to know someone, as long as you're not frustrated, as long as you're not finding any blockages to the... So the regesh can come out with time. Everybody has their own time. Whatever that regesh may be, it can come out. So the regesh is okay. Regesh is not being in jail over there. Nothing is stopping it from coming out, so allow more time. More time will allow the regesh to come out, just like any other kind of environment. The more I'm in an environment, the more I get comfortable, the more I get So time makes more comfort. So same thing with people, same thing in places, same thing in any other area, regesh can come out. But compare that to the next two letters, and then we'll analyze all the letters together. Compare that to the next letter, letter 3. She writes to the Rebbe that she knows this individual, kama shonim akira bachur panim al panim. She knows this individual already a few years. And now, when it's coming to the time of Shidduch, although she knows him, zezman raf kasha lo lahachlit bazeh. Here, she's voicing frustration. I have a I can't make a decision. Now, there's nothing more to know. She knows him panim al panim for a few years. So what do you do now? There's nothing more.
Years here?
Yeah, kama shonim.
Wow.
That's what it says. So therefore, what is she supposed to do? What are you going to tell her? Another few years. What are you going to tell her? Says the Rebbe, Vimkeinu, and Shidduch and Nisuyim is for a whole life. So therefore, the Eizazman lo yifkishu zaim zed, do not meet at all. And this hefsik tzorech lahavlit as a regesh apnimi in b'chiyuv oichulu. Not meeting will allow the regesh to come out. The Rebbe should give her the ability to be machad. Oh, so we're going to soon see a parallel when the Rebbe is saying don't meet, and when the Rebbe says meet more. We're going to try to analyze. Let's see one more letter, and then we'll analyze. So again, what do we have so far?
What does that mean she knows him for a few years?
Family friend, maybe.
Family friend,
Oh,
maybe.
not like in a dating capacity. Not like.
Makira,
Okay.
a bacher panim al. She knows who the individual is very well.
Or
Panim al
went out
panim.
and she knew of him.
She knew of him. Kama shanim, and she's already dating. Ata medas hashal menegela shidduchim
They
oy.
were dating for. I was confused. Okay. That's not.
And she's still masupik. She's not only masupik. Kosher, she feels a very difficulty in making a decision. So what are you going to tell her? Meet more? Obviously, there's something. If you know a person for a few years and you have a difficulty deciding, there's something stopping you from identifying what you feel.
But what is the
She
fact
knows
that
him for a
she
few
knew
years
before?
because what
They
it
have to do whether you met someone new for the first time and you're having the same
it's
feelings.
not. Let's take away the word before. It's a few years panim o panim. However it worked out, whether it's dating or whether it's they chatted or whether it's a Shabbos table, whatever it was, the point of the matter is they know each other very well. And yet, so let's take away the details and take the ikr. Two people know each other very well, but they still have a difficulty making a decision. What are you going to do? Know each other even more well? We know. Here we're going to see it's not about more time, but it's about an ability of an individual to make a decision. There's some, and this is going to be muhusa ishim. Certain people will have a different difficulty when it comes to that, the decision time. And it will have nothing to do with getting to know them more and everything to do with the technique of teaching that person to somehow recognize and identify themselves. It's not about getting to know the other person. It's about getting to know yourself. What's going on in you?
So it's giving yourself space.
We'll soon see what that is. But there's going to have to be somehow this hefsik, this
That
idea.
brings clarity, right? That's what you're saying. That you're
Yeah.
so involved that you need to step back in order to be
So
able
what is that
to
stepping?
really have a more objective
Clarity.
and not just like everything's one big mush.
Right. But we need to explain, what does that stepping back mean? What was the confusion? What really happened here? This is going to be the moyach and lev that we'll see. Stepping back will defocus your mind. Stepping back is not just physically, it has to be mentally. It has to be a total. So now you're allowing, it's almost like a person is very busy, they don't eat, right? You can be a very busy day, you're not eating. Does that mean your body doesn't need food? Your body needs food. As a matter of fact, the moment you chapzich after the day, you're so hungry.
Right.
Because the body has that inner feeling. A body has what it has. The mind has the ability to take away you feeling it. Hunger is there, but you don't feel it. A person's very focused the word focus, by definition, means everything else goes away. So a person who has that ability to be so focused can be so focused to the extreme of not allowing a feeling to surface. So what do?
So is that good or bad? Sometimes it's
Well,
good,
sometimes it's good. When a person needs to focus, it's a very good thing. Because there's so many things going on in life, and I need to focus right now an hour with a family, an hour with a friend, an hour of learning. It's beautiful, it's amazing Mila that I can now focus on just the absence from everything that's going on around me. The Rebbe is going to bring a story later from the Rashba. The Rashba was an extremely busy individual. He had sheer. Rashba was a Rishon. He was a commentary on the Gemara. So he was, I believe he was also a doctor. He had an hour answering shilas, people all over the world, shilas tshuvas. He had talmidim that he would give a shir to every day. And then he would find 20 minutes to take a walk. So the idea behind it is how he was super focused. The Rebbe writes in a different sikh, he writes how the Frierdiker Rebbe, this is the Maila focus, right? There's a flip side. The Maila focus can also be the Chesar. The Maila focus is it dulls the heart, so it allows me to focus. I'm so worried, I have the 20 shalos of Chuvas tomorrow and I have a shir to give it. Right now, I'm doing what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to focus on what I'm doing right now, do it to the best. Now I'm doing the other thing. Now, that is what focus means. The Rebbe writes that he once came into the Frierdiker Rebbe and he was learning Choshen Mishpat. Choshen Mishpat is complicated halachas in disputes that people have with each other. And it was right before the Frierdiker Rebbe was going on a trip that was Sakanas Nefashis. So usually when you go on a trip that's Sakanas Nefashis, it was a dangerous trip. It's a tumult. Your head is all over the place. And he was dafka learning Choshen Mishpat, which takes an extreme amount of focus. That's the Maila focus. The Maila focus is the heart is pumping. Now, are you taking away the fear of the heart? No. You're not allowing it to be felt. Got it? So Moyach Shalit is Shalit in the Lashon of Chassidus on the Chitzonis of the left.
So you're giving it a getter, right?
You're giving it, you're telling the heart,
Like
you can stay inside, but don't come outside. Don't make a spilus. Don't make my chest pump. So I'm going to be fearful and I'm not going to be able to do what I have to do. So you tell the heart, stay inside. Stay inside. I got to focus over here. So heart, stay inside. Mind tells the heart, wait, and that is a mile in focus. What's the chesar of focus? I got to know the individual for a long time. They have amazing things in them. But because I'm so focused on making a decision, a life decision, I'm not allowing my heart to talk. Don't talk. I need to focus. I need to think. Is it good? Is it not good? I'm telling you it's good. No, but I need to think. Don't let me feel good. That's what the mind does. That is what decision making is.
So I think that basically what you're saying is like there's a mila to be able to control, and then you have to also know when to let go. And
So
trick
how?
is when to let go and when to control.
So what does the Rebbe say? Says the Rebbe, an individual who knows the other person already. Letter number 3. The individuals knew each other for a long time, a few years already, and they got to know whatever there is to get to know. And yet, they have a difficulty in decision making. So he's saying, divest your mind. Don't think about decisions. Done. Over. Go somewhere else. Go hiking. Go find the. Go find. No, but the idea is to divest the mind. There's a nice story. There was a fellow that I know that went on a mountain. He went on it was like a big mountain in Turkey that everybody went for vacation. And it was an amazing, everybody comes back talking about how amazing the vacation was. He comes back and he says it was not a good vacation. It was not a good, he's going to write it in the reviews. He put a 1 for the review. He says, what happened? Everybody's saying it's an amazing. Finally, they figured it out. Those days we had Blackberries. He took his Blackberry with him. So he was answering business calls on top of the vacation mountain and texting business. Basically, he was still in his office. So physically being somewhere else is not a vacation. mentally ejecting yourself as a vacation. You can be physically in a great place, but you're not investing your mind there. It could go both ways. So when the Rebbe says hefsek, what he means to say is go away from the office. Now you can suddenly feel yourself. When you're divesting your mind from the decision-making process, so now you can suddenly say, hey, that was actually a good, suddenly the heart can talk. Because the focus-minded mind is not there right now. Just like the person who's very hungry. When is he hungry? When he stopped doing whatever he had to do that day. It's a very, very busy day. So during the day when you're very busy, you can sometimes not eat lunch. Your stomach still needs to eat. The moment your mind is going to stop focusing and controlling and saying, we need to get more things done, I'm hungry. I'm very hungry. You'll eat the whole cholent bowl, right? You're very, very hungry. Because you can't control the heart. You can dull the hispilus of the heart. The heart is a heart. It's a mind of its own. It's not a mind, it's a heart, right? But the mind controls the hispilus of the heart. So here's one letter where we see where the Rebbe gives an eitzah of letting go.
Is this referring to when they don't know what it is that's bothering them? Or that they know what the issue is and they...
Let's not talk about them. It's one person. One person's meeting the other. Yeah, but she's writing about herself. She doesn't care. She has to think about herself, right? She's meeting this individual. She says, I know him for many years, and he's a great individual, but I can't make a decision. So the Rebbe says, you can't...
Because of something specific?
No, she doesn't say anything specific. Kosher lo lahachlet.
I have a question.
If it's something specific bothering her, that's a regish lili. So she already figured herself out. So good. So you have a decision. So you have... A lot of times it's not so... I can't figure it out. I'm just confused. This, that, I can't figure... I'm stuck. And that's a consequence of the mind activity of mind, by definition, is I need to decide. It's telling the heart, not allowing the heart. And that's totally b'muhusa ishim. Different people have a different way how the mind works. But a lot of times that mind works in such a way.
I don't really understand that.
Can this apply to a relationship with a person with themselves? Not talking about even because
The next letter
you
is...
have to know yourself before you even get to know somebody else. So that's like a whole avoda in itself. You really have to be clear when to let go, when to let the mind rule over the heart, when.
Getting to know yourself. I'm not sure what you mean by getting to know yourself, but it does apply. In the next letters we'll see it applies when a person has. There's a letter over here where a person.
Sometimes you have certain thoughts come to surface to the mind, and then you realize, it was a trigger. That's why. Then you realize what the trigger was. Then it's not. It doesn't have that, like you said, thump thump thump. It kind of, because you were able to figure it out.
Maybe this is what you mean. A lot of times, while the mind is even within ourselves, when you suddenly, even in any area, when you suddenly go to, I'm focused on one thing, and I go to something, and I didn't figure something out. I let it sit overnight. I let it simmer overnight. Wake up the next morning, I did other things in the middle. Suddenly a thought comes on that original thing, and there's clarity. Because there's a limit to what I can focusly do, and then there's some things that happen when I leave it alone. And you come back and you suddenly see it in a different way. They call it a fresh eye sometimes. They call it a sleep it over.
Right.
Well, I thought about it. Why should I say? I know what I'm talking about. Sleep it over. Why? Because it has an effect on a person. You let your mind go somewhere else and let yourself talk.
Right.
Your mind did what it could. Now let your kishkas talk.
Right.
Go to sleep. And the morning, and I thought, where'd it come from? From the pajamas when you go to sleep. Where'd it come from? It came because that's how we were. It's made us.
I don't understand this dilemma. Unless there's something specific that's bothering her, and she's saying he's a great individual, but she doesn't have anything specific that's bothering her, so why not move forward?
She knows him for a few years, and she still can't make a decision. So what should she do? That's what she's asking. That's exactly what she's asking.
Usually
she says,
when people are in these situations because there's things about the person that's bothering them.
Why? She knows him for 1 second. Take it for what it is in this case. Two people know each other for a few years. Panim o panim, not through letters. They know each other. But when it came to a decision-making moment, I don't know. I can't. Part of the I don't know might be but this, but then she's going to say, but what about this? And then what about... There is no decisive moment. I'm stuck. You're going to put her down, she's going to say, yeah, this, and yeah, but yeah, this, but yeah, this. It's normal. It happens. Why can't it happen? It happens. I'm stuck.
Yes,
Usually
'cause,
it's reasons.
usually there's a
So
reason.
there's a lot of reasons lakan in a
Have someone to be
chanami.
in this
No, there's
position.
reasons lakan and there's reasons lakan. Kashal lahach doesn't mean she's stam. She's saying I see in my list like this, but I also see things. I mean, obviously she's going to see kashal lahach. Obviously comes because she sees my list and chesronis, and she can't figure. Yeah, but when you tell her that, she said, but what about the milas? She's not comfortable. She doesn't have a comfortable conclusion.
And then she could decide, okay.
She doesn't have a comfortable conclusion.
It's just like everything is.
Sometimes a person can meet and say, you know what, I have a very this bothers me. I can't. This bothers me.
Like the cons so outweigh the pros.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah.
It's not this type of situation. It's a whole different situation.
This is not a situation where anything outweighs.
Okay.
It's like oilam shokol, like the Rambam says, oilam shokol, and
On
waiting
one
for Mashiach.
hand, on the other hand, you ever watch Fiddler on the Roof?
Right.
Yeah, so it's shokol. She doesn't know. Let's see the second letter. Letter 4. Here is a letter. She writes, there's 2 pages. There's one page with 4 letters, another page with another 3. So we'll look at the first page, letter number 4. She's writing, she has svekis. Again, she is in a quandary. That he has she has a suffix about a proposal with a certain person. And therefore, Yom Elu Kashim Labi Yaser. It's a girl, she's writing this about the proposal that she has, and she says, these days are for me very, very difficult. Pay attention to how she reacts to her dilemma. Like Techdal Dima, basically she's crying. She's mamish in tears. And she writes this to the Rebbe. The Rebbe writes, she obviously wrote to the Rebbe, she's in tears, and the Rebbe writes back to her that these are very hard days for you. I read that these are very hard days for you, and you're crying. So it says the Rebbe back to her. Lepele al shahasveikus polu aleha sanal. It's a pella. It's a wonder for me that because you didn't come to a conclusion, it's the impact that it has on you is to such an extreme frustration that you're crying and you're just beside yourself. Obviously, when a person's crying, that means they're stuck. They can't make a decision. It means they're very stuck. Tears is a consequence of a deep, I'm stuck. So this teifa, when you find this kind of reaction, it's very normal. This scenario of confusion is normal, says the Rebbe. Why are you having such an extreme reaction? We all have svekis in these kinds of cases. Not only is it normal, but it's also understood that when a person makes such a huge step in life, and because there's no one that's perfect, the world is not perfect, so there's always going to be room for doubts, because what's going to happen? The world is not perfect. I see chisroinus and I see milas. Here specifically is addressing your point. Where does the doubts come from? From chisroinus. Obviously, where's the doubts come from? If it's a perfect person, I shouldn't have any doubts. But there's no perfect person, so I'm always going to have doubts, because there's always something not good. Something that does bother, but there's something that also do like, and I know there's no, it makes me nuts. Says the Rebbe, that's very normal for you to go through that kind of frustration. I got it. But although we have to, pay attention to that and contemplate on that, and with all the seriousness that it takes, but it should not affect you to the extent that you should be crying and have tears like that. Especially since decisions have to come when a person has menuchas nefesh. Decisions cannot come in moments of frustration. You need to have menucha. And you're not going to be able to make a decision if you're in such extreme agitation the way you are right now. Says the Rebbe. Also, I see from her letter that her approach, she's not certain. She's very uncertain. Says the Rebbe over here in these kinds of cases, look how extreme the Rebbe is going to react. Not only should they not meet, they should not write letters, they should cut off kesher. They should cut off communication. Ties. Cut off ties with each other. Not to write, not to meet, nothing. And that kind of hefsek, kimat tamid mavir esayachas leechad haktzavos. Almost all the time, it should clarify, it should one way or the other. Moving, the amount of time, he says a few weeks, is totally bitchunas nefesh kol echad. It depends on the person and how quick they have to make decisions. But normally 3 to 4 weeks, says the Rebbe. That should be enough. But again, that's not a set in stone rule. But look how much time he's giving the person. Again, who is he talking to? Someone who has an extreme reaction. So you're seeing different kinds of people. You're seeing person in letter 2 who's very comfortable, who found amazing things about the person that they meet, says that I continue meeting. Because the way you wrote is that you wrote, you already feel yourself. You didn't have any extreme reaction. You didn't say, I met the person so much time and I can't. You're basically saying you don't. Okay, so the more you meet, the more comfortable you are, the more people are in a certain circle, the more comfort, the more easier to make a decision. Continue along those lines. There's nothing stopping your heart. The other 2 examples that we have over here were individuals which did experience a hyperactivity of the mind, moyach, the mind. And that was exactly what we said before, that in the letter there writes, it's very hard sometimes to see what's mind and what's heart. Because although you say there is no heart, it could be the mind is not allowing the heart. It's almost like the person on top of the mountain is a great mountain, but his mind is focused on the opposite. He doesn't feel the amazing mountain he's on. The same thing, a person is very hungry, doesn't feel that he's hungry. Because the mind has the ability to dull the experiences that otherwise we would experience. It doesn't mean the experience is not there. It just means you have to take away the mind. So there are different techniques to take away the mind to allow the heart to be itself. This technique the Rebbe is referring to is exactly that. Take away your mind. You're 3-4 weeks, you're not thinking about this. You got to do other things in life. Go write an essay. Take an assignment. Go work for do something for your life for 3-4 weeks. That's it, done. You're not thinking about it now. Now, it's important that the hefsek has to be in the mind too. You can't every day ask, no, what do you think? No, that's not a hefsek. That's not a hefsek. A hefsek means no one asks that question for 4 weeks. Let go leave the person alone for 4 weeks. Just let them go. Let them get back to themselves. Let them get back into life. Eat breakfast, lunch, and supper without the same conversation over and over and over, right? That's what a real hefsek means. But if the person's parents or whatever it is going to hack them at chanting every breakfast, lunch, or supper, we're already 1 day into the 3 weeks. That doesn't work. Like Sfiras Oimer, it's not going to work. That's not what a hefsek means. A hefsek is a real hefsek. The person has a breath. They go on a walk. They go on a vacation. Suddenly they can feel themselves either lakan or lakan. Just like the person when he finishes a full day of work, he's hungry. Person, if he wouldn't take his laptop with him on top of the mountain, he would have enjoyed that mountain.
I'd love to be able to do what the Rashba did and be on bad Madrid at that.
But that's the other way.
20 minutes walking, he was just walking. And then when he answered, so many of us have difficulty living in the moment and just being present without planning ahead and being concerned, it's just like such a balance.
But over here, what we're talking about in these 4 letters is actually letting go of the mind, not to be focused. To let go of your focus on a specific issue that's dominating your life. That's what we're talking about here. That Rashba was being focused, right? When he went on the walk, he had to really focus on that walk. What we're telling this individual is, let go. Just let go. Go do something else. Defocus your life. Let go. That's, in a sense, easier than telling a person who has a hyper-focused life to focus on everything compartment. That's a very difficult thing. Here we're telling a person, this is also difficult. This issue was obviously dominating this person's life. They were crying. They were stuck. They couldn't get anywhere, right? So sometimes you have to have more than just this technique. Take this technique to the next step. If you're going to tell the person, make a hefsek for 3-4 weeks, and all they're doing is staying at home, but they're not doing something, it's not a real hefsek. You need to help them. You need to help them, give them something that they're going to have to be involved. Be a head counselor for 4 months. Take a firm and do a marketing thing. Work something for 4 months. Do something. Engage.
Well, it doesn't work like that. People continue their life.
But usually someone has something going on in their life. There's got to be other things going on in their life.
They continue their job.
So the job, take an extra job. Allow yourself to totally go away from the discussion. Let go of that discussion. Simply either relax, but relaxing is very easy to say and hard to do when you have such a huge thing on your head, or take your mind somewhere else. Because the mind has to think. Here's the thing of the mind. There's no such thing as not thinking. Machshava is, Maisa and Dibur, I can decide to do or not. Machshava is always, right? It's like the story with the person knocking on the door. story the Alter Rebbe, a person was knocking on the door late at night and it was freezing. And the Alter Rebbe didn't let him in. He says, "It's freezing cold. Why don't you let me in?" He said, "I wanted to teach you a lesson. That not everyone who knocks on your door do you have to open up for them. The mind, there's a lot of thoughts knocking on our door. Think about this. Think about this. What we're saying over here is don't think. Just don't go in that trap. Don't think about it.
That's impossible.
It's impossible. That's why you have to have other things that keep you busy. The only way to do it is to keep yourself busy with other things. Load them up with other things. Send them out, or even good things. And a vacation, it's just beautiful. But vacation is not. You have to put your mind there. Yeah, otherwise it's nothing. So you have to have, usually a workload is probably better. I don't know. I'm thinking of myself. Just begash me. It's Pashut. A workload. Pashut, you're responsible for this and this thing for the next 2 weeks. Pashut. Make them work. That's how the mind goes away. Suddenly you come back. Oh, it was such a long workload that I had. Where am I? Oh, and see where a person is? Lakan or lakan.
Ask you, 3-4 weeks is a long time.
It's a long time.
Doesn't mean the other party is going to be ready to
They
wait
have to be ready for
3-4
that.
weeks.
I know of.
It's not always shadchanim. Like they don't want to put up with this kind of stuff. Like
This
no?
is
Well,
this is
it's
an
a person-
eitzah.
Yeah,
This
but
is a real
people-
thing. This is a real
people
thing.
usually don't have patience for this. They
So
say,
they're
"I didn't under a head." Like, they don't. No. Like,
I know.
Yeah, but then the person feels bad to give up. Maybe it's good and
No.
it needs time to think. 2 weeks at least.
Look,
Like, do people want to put up with this? Like, it's a long
I know
time.
this is done. I know. I know it's done in another way. Another way this is done. Another way this is done is sometimes they tell a young person who's going out, no, after every time, no. So every time, no,
Who
right?
says? The parents.
The parents say no.
or whatever.
So an eitzah based on this, an eitzah that was given, similar eitzah is, tell the young people to go off for 5 times and don't look at them. They come home, it's 5 times talk to me, leave me alone. They only do this when it comes to moments that there's no discussion.
You need 5 times talk.
Let's say people go out for 3 times. And they have common language, but they don't have a regesh chiyuvi to each other. Every time you come, you can't let a pot boil when you keep on asking it new, right? That's really what's going on up here. So based on this, you can have, based on the first letter, based on letter number 2, go out for 5 more times and luz up. Just go. We're not going to ask you no news for 5 times. Afterwards, say leken alav. You're allowing them to get to know each other without interfering with your news. The same way we had 5 times, 2 weeks, 3 weeks separating, right? Which was letter 3 and 4. The same way you can take the same idea within which really letter number 2. Go out for a meshech zman to get to know each other just for the sake of getting to know each other without us asking you for a decision. Go out for 4 more times and be comfortable with each other. It goes both ways. Shadchanim do both. They say, okay, 4 more times, we're not going to ask you nothing. But
4 more times after the indecision? Like
no,
after?
this is two different things. The indecision, which is 3 and 4, so Shadchanim do, we see, I mean, they went out for 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, let go. No kesher michtavim, no nothing. Sometimes they even say it's over to see if it's sometimes gives an answer. Tell the girl that it's over. See how she reacts. Right? And the kud is pull away, but that's a trick that everybody knows. It doesn't work. Right?
What?
It's a baloney. They know you're not gonna. They know you don't mean it, so that you're gonna come back. So you have to do it. The point over here is not the tricks, but the point is the mind. You have to address the root. The root of the indecisiveness is because the mind is hyperactive. You need to take that hyperactivity away. When that hyperactivity goes away, a person will find themselves. But as long as they're hyperactively thinking, they're not going to find themselves. So you can either do it through having 4 weeks somewhere else, which obviously it has to be a hefsek that is actually 4 weeks somewhere else. And it could be shared. It should be shared on both sides. Look, this is the matzah. This is a normal situation where a person is, and therefore we're asking her for 4 weeks loss up. You don't want to do it, this nish. So we call it off and see how a person reacts that way. Call it off. But you can't. There's no other eitzah. There's no other eitzah. What are you going to do? You can't build a building without a regesh chiyuvi, and the person does not have a regesh chiyuvi. So the only eitzah is to allow them to go lakan. And the eitzah is when a person is hyperactive in such a way is to take away the mind. So the hefsek is the eitzah. One eitzah is hefsek, and one eitzah is to meet more. Meet more is when they're comfortable and they're not so frustrated. So then you can say go for 4 times and meet more, and the more you'll meet, and we're not going to ask you anything, and see what happens. When you see a frustration, you can't make decisions with frustration. Like the Rebbe writes over here, you cannot make a life decision when a person has a huge amount of akamas nefesh, they're crying and it's affecting them so much. Lass up. Let go for 3-4 weeks. Do something else. That is hard too.
Can you see someone else in between?
Then that's no. Hefsek means that you're waiting 4 weeks to see what's going on. You can say no too.
Sometimes
But what if one side wants-
comparison makes.
One side says, you know what, so we're calling it off.
No, one side says, one side wants to continue, the other side doesn't know what to do.
Well, this is what happened. This could be this letter. This letter is the girl writing that she doesn't know, right? I don't know what the boy said, but who cares? Who cares what the boy said? The girl right now is writing that she's masupik. She has to be clear before she goes on. It doesn't make a difference. The other side could be ready. No, so
So the other
you
side
can't
says, okay.
can't have a
fine.
chasna with one person.
So the other side says, okay, you can decide, goodbye, so.
Labriut. Say it.
So then she might feel bad, like whatever.
See what happens. But
I mean,
what's
after
the
a
option?
week or 2 or 3, she might feel bad.
So
And then it's too
you just said the word feeling.
And then it's too late, huh?
There's a lot of. If that, I mean, your parents sometimes make that, right? I mean, that's one of the tricks they do. But it's not a trick. Again, it's the point of the matter is get a feeling. You just said the word feel bad. If a person feels
But
bad,
they let go, and then they say,
Well,
oh,
they
the other
it
guy
depends
was
what they
already
feel.
busy, whatever. I don't know.
so
Or it's already
it could be.
pushed.
So say, you know what? Forget about it. Now how do they react? So there's other people. No, I want them. Suddenly there's a. You said the word feeling now. Suddenly there was no word feeling a few minutes ago. It was I don't know. A person has to feel a feeling to make a decision. The beginning of a feeling is feeling bad. Oh, why are you feeling bad? Oh, maybe there's some other people too. Let's up. Go on. No. I want because he had this smile. Oh, so there's a feeling now. We need to have a sprach of feelings. And before there was a sprach of I don't know. Kashil Allah hachlet. She's crying. Yom elu kashim b'yaser. You didn't have any sprach of feelings. The sprach of feelings comes when you lose an opportunity, when it's lost, when it's away, when you're away from there. That is exactly the point we're trying to do. We're trying to push heart. We're not trying to pressure. We're trying to take away. Pressure's for mind, by the way. Where is the pressure? Why does she feel pressure? I have to make a decision. That's mind. The mind pressures the body. I have to make a decision. Is it yes? Is it no? But there's miles, but there's constraints, and I make myself nuts, and then the mind and the heart can't feel. Because the heart is being told by the head that we're in the middle of making a decision. Please be quiet. I need to really think through this. Don't distract me. And the heart doesn't feel. So you tell the mind, you tell the head, you know what, we made a decision, it's not happening. So the head goes away. Now the heart comes up. Hey, why'd you do that? I want to go back. Oh, we got heart now. That is exactly what we're talking about. We're trying to differentiate between head and heart. The head has one role and the heart has another role.
This has nothing to do with Shidduchim, but there's a mitzvah that where the person has to think of the chinuch of their child, and from what you're saying, I'm getting that. What I meant to say with the Rashba, that in his walk, the walk was letting go, right? Wasn't the walk a form of letting go of all the other things?
That was letting go of tzaras, yeah.
Being
Of daigas of life,
focused.
yes.
So basically, it's very important for a person to make that time.
Oh, you're talking about the hayem yem. A person should set aside time to think, whatever it is, a certain amount of time a day for the chinuch of their children.
Right, so it's also
Very
for
similar.
their-
It's a focused time.
for them focus, just not children, just to gain clarity on whatever, just to let go. Is there such a thing in Chassidus?
Yem of chinuch for children is chinuch for children, but there's also a concept of a person to relax during the day, which is an important thing regardless. A person should relax during the day and take a walk, whatever it takes. But
Right.
that's part. So that's the first discussion. Now let's go to the second, which will help us get this role of the mind and the heart to better balance. What do we have until now? Let's give a sikum and go to the next 3 letters. So far we discussed the first letter, which is a rule. The first letter lays out a rule of what happens when a person is hitting a moment of confusion. 2 eitzahs the Rebbe gives. Eitzah number 1 is meet more often. Eitzah number 2 is cut ties. When do we do each? In the first letter, the Rebbe just says it depends on the personality. Next 3 letters help to see what personality we're referring to. If we're referring to a case where I'm comfortable, I see good things, but I don't yet feel. So get more comfortable. Go out for a certain amount of time and become very comfortable and see how more... Let that comfort zone continue to grow, because comfort continues to grow. The first time a person comes to the house, they're shy. Second time, they're more comfortable. Third time, they're more comfortable. As long as there's nothing blocking them. Take off your... there's a lot of rules. I become uncomfortable. So there's conflict. Then there's a case where a person is frustrated. They're stuck. They know the person already a few years. I know everything about them. There's nothing I'm going to get to know more by meeting them again. But I just can't figure it out. I see this, but I also see this. Ein shleimus v'bria. I see the chesronis. And as soon as I say, I'm going to say no, but then I come back to myself and say, I see the milas, and I'm very torn. Kashal lahachlet. I can't make a decision. I'm not blind. I see, and I went through this a million times, and I know the guy for a few years. I can't make a decision. Or in the other case, the person was very frustrated. She was crying. I can't make a decision. Over here, the Rebbe says, I got it. You cannot get. The more you'll go in this, the more frustrated you'll become. Frustration leads to deeper frustration. Let go. Take your mind somewhere else. You're frustrated because you're hyperactivity of the mind. You keep on asking for decision. Just go somewhere else. Make a hefsek. Tell your mind to go somewhere else. See if your heart will talk. See what your heart has to say. Your heart will say this, your heart will say this, so you'll get an idea of what's going on over here. But the heart is in captivity right now. It's being controlled by the mind. Take the mind away and let the heart come out. Right? That's what we had over here in the first 4 letters. This concept extends itself to other areas of life as well. This concept of the mind controlling the heart, let's see how it plays out in a chiyuvdik way, in a positive way. Till now, we were saying how the mind is controlling the heart, and it's not a good thing for me because I'm looking to actually find out my heart, and I can't find it out because the mind is controlling. Let's see times when the heart is out of control, and we need to bring in the mind to control. It's going to give us the flip side of this heart, mind, and hopefully it'll also give more clarity on the role of the mind and the heart so we can get a better picture of how they work. So here you have a letter, in letter number 5, where a person writes that they don't have sdorim kavuim. They're basically not focused. They don't have a seder kavua. They don't have a good schedule, right? So the Rebbe writes, it's known that in Chassidus we have a concept called moyach shalat el alev. Why don't you have a focused schedule? Because you're not focused. Focus is mind. Focus comes from mind. So therefore, b'midah gedola, you have the ability. Moyach shalat el alev, the lashon of Chassidus is betol dasu b'tivoy. It's a nature of humans. It's not a darge. It's every human has the ability to be focused. It's not a darge. And therefore, b'midah gedola, you have the ability to impact yourself. That when you're doing one thing, not to think about something else. Why can't I have a good schedule? Because while I'm doing this, I'm already thinking about that. And when I'm doing that, I'm thinking about that. So I'm not doing anything. Because I'm always thinking about the other thing. So he says, we have the ability, naturally, the Eibishter gave us, when I'm doing this, I think about this only. My machshava is not thinking about the other things. And he gives the example, a big example of the Rashba. He gives a derech sipuri of the Frierdiker Rebbe about the Rashba. And I mentioned to you the Rashba, and I mentioned to you the story of the Frierdiker Rebbe from another place. Maybe he's referring to it, maybe he's not, maybe he's referring, but the Rashba was a famous one. The story is another story that's brought down in reference to that, which is the idea that he was amazingly busy. They say even in English, give something to a busy person and they get it done. Right? Sure. Why? Give it to a lazy person. Give it to someone who doesn't have a job. No, someone doesn't have a job, he's going to tell you, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Yes. I'm going to do it tomorrow. Someone who's very busy, I'll do it. 6:05, I'll do it. Between 6:05 and 6:15. I'll find you 10 minutes over there and I'll get it done. Other ones, tomorrow, the next day. Why not? Why today? I can do it tomorrow.
Somebody asked Rebbe Composer in Pittsburgh, she asked her, can you learn with me? And her answer to that person was, Mrs. Shlomo, a busy person always has more time, and whatever, she made time.
She found time. Yeah.
And that was Rabbi Posner's wife.
Beautiful. So here we have an example where moyach shalit, what does it mean? Machshove. not to think about something else while I'm here. This was really the same concept we had before. Not to think about this decision-making process for the next 3 weeks. Focus, but focus in a different way. Don't focus on the shidduch question for 3 weeks. It takes effort, but it has to be a conscious decision, everyone around, that this is what we're going to do now. That's what the eitz is. The next letter we have over here, a similar letter. Person writes, the Rebbe writes to the person, the Maina Mechtovi Hamor, they wrote an express letter to the Rebbe that the Rebbe got that day, and it was a pellet. Because the person, okay, so the first part of the letter is the Rebbe writes, you're mekatzer in the yediyas about your health. Although you used to write every day to me, I guess this person was every day would write a letter to the Rebbe. So the Rebbe says, now you don't write at all. There's a middle way. You don't have to write every day, but you don't have to write at all. There's a middle way. He's helping the person, again, there was extreme reactions of heart in the sense of how this person interacted with the Rebbe. And the Rebbe was trying to help them find the middle way. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing the Rebbe writes, your letters have a lashon of pchoda nebahola. You're very scared. You're in a lot of emotions in that letter, extreme emotions. Says the Rebbe, where is your mind controlling the heart? Or at least don't let your heart control your mind. You're scaring yourself. Why are you doing this to yourself? Says the Rebbe. Don't let your heart get out of control. Obviously, this person is going through a hard time. Something about briyas. But here you have another example how the Rebbe is taking the concept of a person going through a hard time. At least don't allow the pain, and this is just as hard as it is in the first sequence of letters, where a person is focused on deciding, making a decision that it's controlling and taking over his life. Well, it's very hard to let go of my heart when my heart is in extreme pain, that my mind should say, okay, I'm not going to allow the pain to surface and come up, and I'm going to think about something else. It goes both ways. Just like the mind should sometimes let go. It's controlling the heart. Sometimes the heart is controlling the mind, and you have to be able to say, no, I'm going to think about something else. It's all the same point behind it, which is the mind won't take away the pain. Will the person lose? He has a health condition. What am I? It's a psychological thing. I'm not going to think about my pain. I'm not going to have pain. No, you're going to still have pain from a health condition, but you won't have the self-inflicted pain of making yourself depressed. The health condition is a health condition, but you thinking about it is aggravating your health. You can't even go to the doctor because you're crying at home. I mean, that happens, right? The person's
Right.
So here, we're not telling you you're going to change the heart. You're going to change the outward expression of the heart. The mind doesn't change the heart. The heart is a heart is a heart. If you're hungry, you're hungry. Even though you're working very hard, you're not going to take away the need of your body to eat. That need will surface once you're not controlling your feelings of feeling that hunger. So at the end of the day, your mind is not telling the hunger to go away. The hunger comes back up. So it's there. You have a lot of pain of whatever it is. The mind cannot take the pain away. You are in pain. There's a real pain going on over here. But it can control it in the sense of not taking over your day. The person is going through a difficult decision-making process of a shidduch, and then they're overwhelmed. So we're telling them, let go. What do you mean let go? I have to get married. What do you mean let go? And it's going to come back to me. No. Focus somewhere else for a while. It's still going to be in your heart. And as a matter of fact, I want it to be in your heart. While you're focusing there, we'll see what happens. We'll see how that pot simmers. Because now your heart is allowed to talk. There's a clear separation here of heart and mind. That's what the first point that I wanted to share, which is the separation of mind and heart. And actually, it's brought down in 7. He says clearly, the concept of control is only on the external parts of the heart. Which means to say the pulp of the heart, feeling of the heart. It's in both ways. I can either not feel, or if I defocus my mind, I will feel. And that's the concept of Moyach Shalitz, in a nutshell, the indecisiveness that we feel a lot of times. The Bimhusa Ishim is the intensity of the mind. The intensity that each one makes decisions. Everyone makes decisions different ways. Some of them are quick. Some people take a lot of time to go through any decision. That time is the mind, and that by definition, will dull heart. Because that's what the mind does. It says, let me think. Let me think. And it has milus in life because that person can be focused. That person can get things done. But it's a difficult, challenging thing because they want to feel heart. And they can't. So you have to somehow get them to defocus. And that's the first part.
That won't be a logical decision if they do that.
Oh.
It'll be impulsive.
So the moment, let's say the person takes a hefsek for 3 weeks, suddenly they feel like they really want to go back. There's something amazing there, etc., etc. So I just now identified. See, what's the heart? I went out with a person and I see there's miles. There's great things in him that I seek in a person, but there's also chisroinus in him. So my mind, while I'm going through this scenario, my mind is confused. I see good things, I see bad things. I don't know how I feel towards this. I'm not sure how I didn't settle. It didn't settle. I don't know what to do. So I defocused. I went away. And suddenly I feel like I want to go back. What does that tell me? That tells me that the milas do talk to me. So it's not emotional, instinctive. I went through a process of getting to know the person.
Logical process makes you feel.
Exactly. How it settles in the heart.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
It's like Chacham Yadas.
Exactly. So what the hefsek allows the das to happen.
Right.
The hefsek allows it to simmer. So now I come back and I say, oh,
Would
I
you
actually
say
have
how
it.
Would you say how the logic settles in your heart?
It settles in the heart, allows it to simmer, allows the heart to talk. The heart can't talk because it's in the process of thinking. That's what das is. Das is let it go. Let it sit. You know, when you see sleep it over, that's das. You're letting it sit. See how it sits by you after a week. See how it sits by you. Come back to me after a week. But I thought through it. You can't think more right now.
The bina is the focus.
The focus, and this and the that. There's enough this and that. I got it.
Das is just like,
Let it sit. That's what the
And you
hefsek
have
is.
the aha.
And then when it's not it doesn't have to. By the way, the word hamshachas halev is not hispilus halev. It's not aha. It's amazing. We're not even.
No,
We're
the
looking.
aha
Do I want to go
moment.
back? The aha moment. Yeah.
I'm not talking about
Yeah,
aha,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
other person. Aha, that you have. It could be about anything. It doesn't even have to be about a shidduch. That you're like so back and forth, and then you just let go. And then because the mind had some breather, then all of a sudden you're it's like the temperature just like it's almost